Over the past few weeks, I've been flying the new DJI Air 3S every day to test and to share my thoughts on this new release. To test something like this, I usually travel overseas to a different country, but with limited time, expensive flight tickets and kids at school, we decided to do a few days road trip in my home country, Norway. Currently, my favorite travel drone is the Mini 4 Pro and the new DJI Neo, which both completes my travel needs. But the big question I want to answer at the end of this video is whether the Air 3S can become my new primary travel drone. The first thing that impressed me was the new 1-inch CMOS sensor combined with the 1/1.3-inch telephoto lens. Because Norway has large mountains, where most are unreachable by foot, I was able to capture some amazing videos with the 70mm telephoto lens without having to fly far, which also meant I was able to maintain visual line of sight. What made the flying experience even better was the 04 transmission system with a range up to 20 kilometers and the RC2 controller, which I'm used to with my Mini 4 Pro. So even flying in and around the mountains, I never lost signal once. An additional safety feature to the Air 3S is the new next generation smart return to home system, which allows the drone to fly back without satellite positioning, even in low light. And for poor visibility, like in low light, the Air 3S is equipped with forward-facing LiDAR sensors in addition to the 360 obstacle avoidance system to make night shooting safer. Throughout our journey in Norway, we had 3 goals: to see Geiranger, Mardalen and Trollveggen. However, our plans didn't go as expected when we almost got stuck at the top of a mountain looking for one of the lost wild reindeer tribes here in Norway. Thankfully, I had a drone with a 1-inch sensor and a telephoto lens, which made the scouting a bit easier. But unfortunately, we didn't see any reindeers, but I was still impressed with what I was able to capture with these 2 lenses. On our way to the next location, we took a detour to a different mountain, and one of my favorite things about road trips is the diversity of nature, something I haven't experienced here at home in many years. I think it's been 20 years since I last did a road trip here in Norway, but it's definitely not gonna be 20 years until the next one. So as we drove across this mountain, I used the feature called ActiveTrack 360, one of my favorite ways of capturing road trips. And with no limitations to how the drone would track me, I was able to use the tracking wheel on the controller to select the direction and use the sticks to control the distance and altitude. The Air 3S is also capable of shooting 4K 120 frames slow motion, which allowed me to capture both fast and slow cinematic videos. We also found this hiking trail, which gave the opportunity to test the ActiveTrack 360 feature when walking. And I can honestly say that this is the smoothest tracking I've seen in a drone so far. Now, we didn't go far, as you can see we didn't really have the right outfit, but on our way down I decided to test my favorite quickshot feature, Helix. The first one didn't go as expected, so I lowered the altitude for the second attempt, which turned out amazing, and you can really see the diversity in colors. But I would recommend using manual settings when you use quickshots. When using auto settings, they seem to turn out a bit too contrasty and a bit too sharp in my opinion. Another way is to use ND filters. Since the Air 3S has a pretty fast aperture of f1.8 on the main 1-inch lens and f2.8 on the telephoto lens, you would need to use ND filters to lower the contrast and the sharpness if you use auto settings. So by using ND filters, it will help lowering the shutter speed and get close to the shutter rule, which is twice of your frame rate. So as I capture videos in 4K 30, my optimal shutter speed would be 1/60 or a bit higher. The main features of the Air 3S is the camera and its two lenses. The main one is a 1-inch 50-megapixel 24mm wide-angle lens, and this is excellent for capturing landscape. But when you have large objects or a fairly long travel distance, the wide-angle lens doesn't cut it. So this is where the 70mm telephoto lens comes to the rescue. With its 3x zoom and the option to push even further to 9x digital zoom, the background will become significantly larger. So this shot right here was captured with the wide-angle lens, and this one was captured with the 3x zoom camera. Norway does also have the largest free-falling waterfall in Europe, which is also the 4th largest in the world, with a free fall of 300 meters and a total height of 655 meters. But because it's part of a hydroelectric power project, it means they close the water from late August to late June, making summer the best time to visit. However, we still went for it, and despite the lack of water, the mountain itself gave us the powerful impression of what this would look like. So I will see you again next year. Norway is also a huge country in terms of how long it is, so we spent most of our time driving from one location to the other, so battery life was something I didn't really pay attention to. Mostly because I've been using the 65 watts car charger from DJI to charge all the batteries on all my devices from place to place. And if I were going by foot, I would use a power bank or two to keep the batteries charged. But according to DJI, we have a flight time of 45 minutes, and if I'm gonna take a wild guess, I would say about 30 minutes is what I was able to push from each battery before changing them out at around 20 to 30%. I also like that we have a vertical mode, but as this is the second generation of the Air 3, I would prefer to have a 4x3 aspect so I could fly once and capture twice. Even though the cropped footage doesn't look bad at all, I would still prefer to capture at full quality, especially with such a powerful 1-inch sensor. The only option now is to shoot vertical videos in 2.7K up to 60 frames, whilst on my Mini 4 Pro I can still capture vertical videos at 4K up to 100 frames. So if I want the optimal quality, it means that I have to shoot the same video twice. So please DJI, let us have a 4x3 aspect. Now along our journey here in Norway, I also took some photos both with the 50 megapixel main camera in 4x3 and the 48 megapixel telephoto lens in 4x3 aspect. And here my favorite will be the main wide-angle camera, both 4x3 and 16x9. We also found the Chicken Bridge and Slettafossen, which translates to the deleted waterfall. I know, we have some strange names here. On this trip, I also got a taste of what Norway has to offer, something I simply forgot. I lived here my whole life and it's only a few hours drive to these locations. So the very next day I set out to a different place, mainly to shoot a video of the DJI Neo, which is an amazing hands-free travel companion. So if you haven't seen that video, I highly recommend that you check it out down in the description. But of course, the Air 3S was sitting in my car and screaming to get out, and there was one particular feature I had in mind: cruise control. So for this shot I used the 3x zoom lens and pushed the sticks in the same direction as I was walking, and then pressed the C1 button on the controller, which I had mapped to cruise control. All the clips captured with the Air 3S were shot in the D-Log M 10-bit color profile, which is available on both cameras. And I also used the color display feature to get an idea of what the final video would look like. For color correction, I used my Signature LUTs, which I specifically developed for the D-Log color profile years ago. So I highly recommend checking out my LUT pack for color correction. You can find the link in the description. So after flying the Air 3S for some weeks now and comparing it to the experience I've had with the older drones like the Mini 3 Pro, the Mini 4 Pro, and even the not so old DJI Neo, though my journey with the Air 3S has just begun and there's more to explore both high and low, I can say that this has definitely earned its place and it surpassed all expectations. So now I can say the Air 3S will be my new primary drone because of the wide reach, outstanding image quality, and improved safety system. But it won't be alone. The DJI Neo will always be by its side. And if you want to know why, check out my weeks later review of the DJI Neo down below. I also recommend that you check out these videos, and if you want to see more, make sure to subscribe, turn on notifications, and drop a like. So until next time, take care.